Two rich families at war. A boy and a girl from opposite sides who fall in love the instant they meet. A secret wedding, a deadly street fight, and one desperate plan that goes terribly wrong. In Verona, two rich families have hated each other for years, the Montagues and the Capulets. Their old grudge keeps sparking street fights. This is the story of two young people from these families who fall in love, and it costs them their lives. One hot day, young men from both families meet at a gas station. A rude gesture sparks a challenge, and the taunting turns ugly. Both sides pull guns as people scream and scatter. Benvolio, a Montague, tries to keep the peace. But Tybalt, a hot-tempered Capulet, refuses, saying he hates the word peace as much as the Montagues. The standoff explodes into a shootout that sets the station on fire. The prince who rules the city arrives furious and orders both families to drop their weapons. This is the third brawl they have caused, he warns. If either family breaks the peace again, they will pay with their lives. Romeo's mother is glad her son missed the fight. Benvolio explains that Romeo wanders alone at dawn, crying, then hides in his dark room all day. Something is clearly weighing on him. Benvolio finds Romeo and asks what is wrong. Romeo loves a girl named Rosaline, but she does not love him back. He feels hopeless, sure no other woman could match her. Meanwhile, a wealthy man named Paris asks Juliet's father to let him marry her. Her father says she is still very young, not even 14. But he invites Paris to a masked party that night to try to win her heart. By chance, Romeo and his friends hear about the Capulet party and that Rosaline will be there. Benvolio dares Romeo to come and compare her to other girls, sure he will forget her. Romeo agrees, only to see Rosaline again. Inside the Capulet home, Juliet's mother comes to talk, bringing the nurse who raised her. She has news: the respected Paris wants Juliet for his wife, and she should look him over tonight. The nurse gushes about what a fine man Paris is, and Juliet's mother urges her to imagine a life with him. Juliet is polite but calm. She promises to look at Paris and try to like him, but no more than her parents want. A servant announces the guests, and the family hurries down. Juliet's mother tells her to enjoy the night. The huge costumed party begins, loud and dazzling, with the two rival families crowded together. The Capulets throw a wild masked party, full of music and dancing. Romeo and his friends slip in disguised. His friend Mercutio is loud and playful, teasing everyone in the crowd. Mercutio tries to pull Romeo onto the dance floor, but Romeo feels too sad to dance. He is still moping over a girl who does not love him back. Mercutio tells him to stop taking love so seriously. Romeo admits he had a strange dream warning him against coming here. Mercutio waves it off and spins a mocking story about a tiny fairy who slips into people's dreams and fills their heads with wishes. Romeo tells him to stop, saying he is talking about nothing. Mercutio agrees that dreams are just empty fantasies. But the joking cannot shake the dark feeling growing inside Romeo. Romeo quietly says he is afraid. He feels something terrible set in motion tonight will lead him toward an early death. Still, he trusts his fate and goes in, whatever may come. Inside, the music turns soft and dreamlike. Guests drift through the rooms in bright costumes. Romeo wanders off alone, not knowing his life is about to change in a moment. Then Tybalt, Juliet's hot-tempered cousin, spots Romeo through his mask. Furious that a Montague dared sneak in, he wants to strike him dead and moves to start a fight. Juliet's father steps in and stops Tybalt. He says Romeo has caused no trouble and orders his nephew to leave the boy alone. Tybalt backs down in anger, swearing Romeo will pay another day. Across the room, Romeo sees Juliet for the first time. He is stunned. Every thought of his old crush vanishes. He feels he has never truly seen beauty until now and cannot look away. Romeo moves closer and gently takes Juliet's hand, speaking softly about his lips as humble travelers ready to kiss. Juliet, charmed but shy, plays along and they flirt in a quiet corner. Their game of words leads to a first tender kiss, then another. For a few breathless moments, the feud and the party fall away. Neither knows yet who the other really is. Then Juliet's nurse hurries over, saying her mother is calling. Juliet is pulled away before she can ask his name. Romeo, dizzy with feeling, asks who the girl is that he just kissed. The answer hits him like ice. She is a Capulet, the daughter of his family's greatest enemy. The girl he has fallen for belongs to the very people the Montagues have long hated. Romeo is torn apart. His first true love has sprung from his deepest hate. He met her too soon and learned who she was too late. Now he must love the one he should call enemy. Meanwhile, Juliet asks the nurse the name of the young man she just kissed. When she hears he is Romeo, a Montague, she is shaken too. The night's sweetness turns bitter as both see the danger. Later outside, Romeo slips away and hides in the Capulet's garden. Mercutio and the others call out for him, joking, but Romeo stays silent in the dark. He cannot leave. He must be near Juliet. His friends give up and head off to bed. Romeo moves quietly through the garden, joking that they mock a wound they have never felt, then freezes as he sees a light above him. A window opens and Juliet steps out onto her balcony. To Romeo, she looks like the rising sun, brighter than anything in the sky. He hides in the shadows below, watching the girl he already loves. It is her standing just out of reach. He aches to tell her how he feels but stays hidden, afraid to break the moment. Then Juliet, thinking she is alone, speaks her secret thoughts aloud. Hidden below her window, Romeo hears Juliet speak his name. She wishes he were not a Montague or she not a Capulet. Only his family name divides them, and a name is nothing. Unable to stay quiet, Romeo answers. He will give up his name for her love. Startled, she asks how he climbed the high walls into so dangerous a place. Love carried him over, he says, and cannot be stopped. Juliet warns that if her people find him, they will kill him. Romeo says he would rather die by their hate than live without her love. She is glad the dark hides her blushing, since he already heard her confess. She asks him to swear he truly loves her. Romeo starts to swear by the moon, but Juliet stops him. The moon keeps changing and his love might too. She tells him not to swear, only be true. Juliet grows uneasy that their love moves too fast, like lightning gone before you can name it. Still, she hopes it will bloom. As she says goodnight, Romeo begs her to stay and she gives her word. Then Juliet makes it real. If his love is honest and he means marriage, he must send word tomorrow and she will send someone to him. Whenever he chooses, she will marry him and follow anywhere. They struggle to part, calling each other back again and again. Juliet asks what hour to send her messenger. Romeo says 9 o'clock. The wait, she says, feels like 20 years. At last they part. At dawn, Romeo goes straight to Friar Lawrence, gathering herbs. Surprised to see him so early, the friar asks if he spent the night with Rosaline, the girl Romeo had been pining for. Romeo laughs off Rosaline, he has forgotten her. He has fallen for someone new, a daughter of the Capulets, his family's enemy. They already love each other, and he begs the friar to marry them today. The friar is stunned how fast Romeo's heart has changed, then sees hope. This secret wedding, joining a Montague and a Capulet, might turn the family's hatred to love. So he agrees, warning Romeo to go slowly, for those who rush stumble and fall. In the streets, Mercutio and Romeo's friends wonder where he is. They learn that Tybalt, Juliet's hot-tempered cousin, has sent Romeo a written challenge. Mercutio jokes that lovesick Romeo cannot face so dangerous a swordsman. Just then Romeo appears, bright and joking. He and Mercutio trade playful insults and laugh. Then the nurse arrives, sent by Juliet, and the friends tease her before Romeo draws her aside. Romeo gives the nurse his message. Juliet should come this afternoon to Friar Lawrence to be secretly married. The nurse carries the news home, but first teases and delays while Juliet waits. Juliet begs the breathless nurse to speak, but she keeps complaining of her aching bones and drifting off the point. At last she gives in, go to Friar Lawrence where a husband waits to marry her. Friar Lawrence marries Romeo and Juliet in secret, hoping to heal the feud between their families. But he warns them. Wild burning love can end as fast as it starts, like fire and gunpowder. He tells them to love steadily. Out in the streets the day is hot and tempers worse. Mercutio, Romeo's closest friend, jokes while Benvolio begs him to go home. The Capulets are roaming, he warns, and if they meet, there will be another fight. Then Tybalt, Juliet's fierce cousin, arrives looking for Romeo, hunting a reason to fight. Mercutio answers every word with a mocking joke. The two trade sharper insults until the street feels ready to explode. Romeo appears. Tybalt turns on him, calling him a villain and demanding a fight. But Romeo, now secretly married to Tybalt's cousin, refuses. He says he has reason to love Tybalt and will not fight his new family. Mercutio is disgusted by Romeo's surrender. He cannot stand watching his friend bow to Tybalt, so he challenges Tybalt himself. The two square off while Romeo tries desperately to get between them. In the struggle, Tybalt stabs Mercutio under Romeo's arm, then flees. Mercutio laughs it off, insisting it is only a scratch. But the wound is deep, and his friends realize the hurt is far worse than his jokes let on. Dying, Mercutio curses both families, blaming their endless hate for killing him. Romeo watches his best friend die because he tried to keep the peace, and something inside him breaks. Grief and guilt turn into burning anger. Meanwhile, Juliet waits at home, glowing with happiness, longing for night so she can be with her new husband. She has no idea what just happened in the streets. She dreams only of Romeo. Back in the street, Tybalt returns. Blind with rage, Romeo hurls himself at him. They fight, and this time Romeo kills Tybalt. Then he freezes in horror, realizing he has killed his wife's cousin and doomed himself. The prince arrives to find two young men dead. Benvolio explains that Tybalt killed Mercutio first, and Romeo only struck back. Juliet's family cries out for his death, but because Tybalt killed first, Romeo is only banished from the city forever. Romeo is crushed. Being sent away from Juliet feels worse than death itself, and he sinks into despair. Then the nurse arrives with news from Juliet, and the friar tries to calm him. The friar reminds Romeo how lucky he is. Juliet is alive and the law spared his life. He sends Romeo to comfort Juliet that night, then flee at dawn to Mantua and wait there until it is safe to reunite. Back home, Juliet is torn apart. The man she loves killed her cousin Tybalt. She cannot believe someone so beautiful could be so cruel. Her heart is split between Romeo and her family. Downstairs, her father tells Paris she is too deep in sorrow for marriage tonight. Then he changes his mind. To pull her from her grief, he decides she will marry Paris that Thursday. He promises Paris that Juliet will obey. He tells his wife to share the news at once. On Thursday, she becomes this gentleman's bride. No one asks what she wants, but Romeo is already with her, spending their one secret night as husband and wife. At dawn, he must flee to Mantua or be killed. She begs him to stay, but both know he must go. As the light grows, so does their fear. Romeo slips away just as Juliet's mother reaches the door. They say a painful goodbye, promising to meet again. But a dark feeling grips Juliet as if she sees him dead. Her mother enters with what she calls happy news. Her father has set the wedding. On Thursday, she marries Paris. Juliet refuses. She swears she will not be his bride and cannot explain why. Then her father arrives. Learning she said no, his kindness turns to rage. He calls her ungrateful and threatens to throw her out. Marry Paris on Thursday, he shouts, or never face him again. The nurse tries to defend her, but he snarls at her too. He storms out, warning Juliet to obey or starve in the streets. Juliet begs her mother for a short delay, but she coldly refuses. Desperate, Juliet begs the nurse for hope. But the nurse, who once helped her, now tells her to just marry Paris. Romeo is as good as gone, she says. Juliet feels completely alone. Hiding her heartbreak, Juliet thanks the nurse and pretends to agree. She says she will go to Friar Lawrence to confess. But really she races to the one person who might help her escape. At the friar's, Paris is already there arranging the wedding. Juliet answers his warm words coldly. Once he leaves, she begs the friar to save her, or she will take her own life. The friar reveals a daring plan. He gives her a bottle of potion. Drink it the night before the wedding, he says, and she will fall into a sleep that looks just like death. Cold and still, her family will think she has died and lay her in the Capulet tomb. There she will rest a day, then wake as if from sleep. Meanwhile, the friar will send Romeo the truth. Romeo will come the night she wakes and carry her to Mantua, where they can finally live together. He promises to rush his message. Juliet takes the bottle and goes home to prepare. Alone that night, fear grips her. What if the potion fails? What if she truly dies? She sends her mother and the nurse away to face it alone. Trembling, she lifts the bottle to her lips. She whispers to Romeo, drinks it all, and collapses. Next morning, her family finds her cold and still, and the wedding turns to a funeral. They carry her to the church. Far in Mantua, Romeo wakes full of hope. He dreamed Juliet found him dead, then kissed him back to life and made him a king. He is sure good news is coming. Then his servant Balthasar arrives from Verona. Romeo asks for a letter from the friar and word of Juliet. But the news is the worst of all. Her body lies in the family tomb, he says. He saw her buried. Romeo hears the news he feared most. His servant says Juliet is dead, laid in the Capulet tomb. The words break him. Refusing a world without her, he resolves to ride to Verona that night. His mind is set. If Juliet is gone, he will lie beside her and share her fate. He asks once more for a letter from Friar Lawrence, but none comes. He never knew the priest had a plan, so he believes her death is real. Far away, Friar Lawrence learns the truth. His letter saying Juliet only sleeps never reached Romeo. The messenger was held back. Fearing Romeo now thinks she is truly dead, the priest rushes to the tomb before it is too late. Romeo finds a poor seller and begs for a fast, deadly poison. The man fears the law that forbids such sales. But Romeo offers gold, saying the world has been no friend to them, and the seller gives in. The seller warns the drink can kill the strongest man at once. Romeo hands over his gold, calling money the true poison, worse than any potion. Now armed to die, he sets out for Juliet's tomb. At the tomb, Paris has come to mourn Juliet and meets Romeo in the dark. A struggle breaks out and shots ring through the tomb. The prince arrives and calls for peace, but but the violence is already over. Romeo reaches Juliet at last. He kneels beside his wife and speaks softly. Even in death she looks alive, her lips and cheeks still warm. He cannot believe how beautiful she remains, as if death has not taken her. He wonders why she is still so lovely. A dark thought grips him that death is keeping her here for itself. He cannot bear to leave her, so he decides to stay with Juliet forever. This place, he says, will be his final resting spot, where he escapes the cruel fate that hunted them both. He takes one last look at her and holds her, ready to leave a world of only sorrow. Romeo then, as it takes hold, Juliet begins to wake, her sleeping potion wearing off at the cruelest moment. She stirs, alive after all, just as the man she loves lies dying. Romeo sees the empty bottle and grieves that none is left to share. He kisses her, hoping poison lingers on her lips. Then he feels her lips warm. He understands at last, but the poison has done its work and he dies. With a final kiss, Romeo is gone. Juliet wakes and finds her husband dead beside her. No one is left to save them, no plan to follow. In her grief, she takes his gun and, unable to live without him, ends her life. The two families gather at the tomb and see the price of their hatred. The prince tells them their hate has killed their own children. Over Romeo and Juliet, the Montagues and Capulets finally grasp the cost of the feud. A heavy peace settles over the mourning. The prince says some will be forgiven and some punished, but all have suffered. So ends the story of two young lovers destroyed by the feud between their families. A sorrow unlike any other, the tale of Juliet and her Romeo.